There's audio now. Sorry about that, everybody. I was sitting over here talking to myself on mute. Hopefully you guys can hear me now. Welcome to Live Coding Afternoon Tea, my second introduction of the episode. My name is Travis Tullson, and we are going to be, yes, every meeting starts on mute talking. So today we're going to be continuing our build out of the C3 Troubleshooting Tool. Basically, Earl says he still can't hear me. So last time we were working on maintenance scripts for our C3 Troubleshooting Tool, which is basically something I'm building to help us manage kind of the tier 1 support when we're at conference events and people come up and say, hey, the C3 app isn't working for me. What's the problem? So I had built out a maintenance scripts table last time. And fun fact, if you haven't seen my LinkedIn post on this, fun fact, if you build a table that has a script field on it, there's a good chance that it's a good candidate to extend from sys metadata. Extending from sys metadata allows you to track it on update sets. I did not do that in our last episode. And so what ended up happening was I pushed everything up to prod, didn't check it. That was mistake number 2. And so we cloned down, and the maintenance script, condition script that I had written last time actually got deleted because it wasn't tracked in update sets. So earlier this morning, prior to the show, I went back, I rebuilt the table. I used the last episode to capture the script that we wrote last time and put that back into the maintenance scripts table. So I'm all caught back up, and the table is tracking on update sets. So now we're going to pick up where we left off. I'm going to try and bring the maintenance scripts into the UI, and we'll hopefully get into back into the GlideScopedEvaluator and trying to execute the maintenance script. So with that, let's bring up the C3 troubleshooter. So this is the very poor UI that I have going so far. And hello, everybody. We've got plenty of folks joining in. Welcome, welcome. So usually what I would do is I'd do the control right click and go into widget editor. However, a second thing that I did offline was gave myself the roles and permissions and set myself up to be able to use Now Assist and the code completion tools, which if I hit Control Enter here, you'll notice nothing happens, nothing comes up. It's because it doesn't work in the Service Portal editor. So I'm actually going to go into Studio because I want to play with it today just to see how it does with Service Portal stuff. So there's a question knowing about extending from sys metadata. So one thing I will point out here is let's actually create a table real quick just to demonstrate. So if I go in and create a table, oops, I got to open up my C3 app first. And let's try creating that file again, and hopefully it'll pick up the scope. There we go. Table. Okay, so there are 2 ways to do it. I don't know exactly if it's documented anywhere handling the metadata. The way I've seen it documented is actually down here in the track and update sets UI action. So if I click this button, you'll see that it extends table application file, which is the sys metadata table. So that is one way to set it up. And then the other way would be just to do a lookup of sys metadata and set it there. And either of those two approaches will ensure that your table inherits this metadata and gets tracked in update sets. Highly recommend it for anything that that itself would be considered part of your application. So in our case, the maintenance scripts, it's a script we can execute. I don't want to have to rewrite those scripts in prod or do a export XML, import XML to carry them over. So I went ahead and set it up to extend from sys metadata. So now I'm going to scroll down to my widgets, and we're going to be editing the C3 Troubleshooter. And so this is going to bring up the internal form view, which I don't like near as much as I like the widget editor. But if I control enter, I get the Now Assist code generation to pop up. And I'm kind of hoping to use that a little bit today. So I'm willing to make the sacrifice and use the form view. Hello, Ben. How's it going? Welcome, welcome. Let's see. All right, so real quick, just for my own review, we enter the email of the profile in, we hit search, and right now we don't see a whole lot of change, but what we do get is in our c.data, we get our not the profile object, the maintenance scripts. And so you'll see we've got enable profile for event. So what I want to do now is I actually want to show these maintenance scripts in the portal, on the portal page. So to do that, what I'm going to do is come into the body tag here. And what we're going to do is do a separate div. That's going to be our container. And whenever I'm writing HTML, I like to have that empty div ready to go in case I need to add a CSS class to it. And then inside that, we'll have an ng repeat. All right, so this data.maintenance scripts is coming from our server script. Where's it at? Data.maintenance scripts is calling this particular function here, which is housed in a script include, and it's building that array of maintenance scripts. So that is then going to get passed to our client controller automatically. This is just automatic service portal bindings. It becomes in our client controller c.data.maint scripts, which also makes it available up here in our ng repeat. So ng repeat for each script, I'm going to give it a variable name in c.data.maint scripts, I think it was. Yeah, maint scripts. Let's see. Any idea if they will add the Now Assist code completions to the portal widget editor? I don't know yet. I'll have to ask on that one because it would be really nice to have that in there. I know I would appreciate it. So I'll have to ask the team. I'll hunt down that product team and we'll see if we can't get an answer on that one, or at the very least do a little bit of advocacy to try and make it happen. And I do have my tea. I'd managed to do a little bit of prep work today. Got a vanilla chai today. Let's see. So I'm going to give... Let's give this section an H2. And... I'll just label it scripts for now. We'll clean up UI later. I know I keep saying that, and I promise we will actually clean up the UI later. It will happen. I'm not just postponing it forever. So then for each script, I want to show the title or the name. So that's going to be our script object. Oops. I need double curly braces for the binding. And so basically we're iterating this array with the ng repeat, and I want to show the script.name. So script.name. Also, one fun fact, because I was just mistyping script there. It was actually kind of cool that I got to rebuild the maintenance scripts table because I spelled the table name wrong. And so now that won't live on forever because I spelled it right the second time around. And then we're going to do our description. Oh no. Okay, I just hit the Control S because Service Portal Editor has the Control S to save, but Form doesn't. So I will actually have to right click and do save. Or I guess technically update would work as well since I'm in Studio. All right, let's see if this gets us what we want. It did not. All right, so let's inspect. And let's see what's going on in that. All right. So one thing you can do in this sort of situation is we can kind of there's two ways to show the data that's associated with a particular widget. I can control right click and I can log out our scope data or scope. But what I really want to see is what is in this particular div here. So what I can do is I can select that div in the elements, and then I can come in here and do angular.element $0. Now the $0 is Chrome Web Inspector's way of saying the element that I've selected in the element inspector. So it's actually going to take the DOM object for that element and pass it into the $0 variable. I spelled element wrong because everything's a typo. This is why I let AI write all my scripts now. Not really, but it's writing more and more of them because it makes fewer typos than I do. All right, so this is the object, the scope object that is associated with that particular element. And from here, I can hit C, data, and there's nothing on that data object. That's interesting. Well, let's log this scope. And we do have the maintenance scripts on that one, though. That is interesting. Let's see. ng repeat. Yeah, same here, Ryan. This little Angular element trick is such a lifesaver, especially because there are certain things like ng repeat changes your scope and changes what's accessible on the scope. And so this control right click only shows you what's on the parent widget level. This Angular element lets you drill into exactly what is available on the element that you're trying to edit. Super powerful. I love it. Let's see. Why is... This one is stumping me a little bit, though, because... Let's see. Is there a missing slash on one of the divs toward the bottom? Oh, let's see. Yeah, that could actually be it. let's give that fix a shot. It looks like that could be the issue. So basically, we have a div up here, and this was supposed to be a matching close, but it didn't have the slash. And if that fixes it, I will explain. Okay, that didn't do it. But let's see if it got us closer. Okay, so it has gotten us closer. You'll notice that the HTML is a lot more verbose this time around. And so one of the things that HTML is very forgiving. If you forget to close a tag, HTML generally doesn't care. It will try to sort out the issues for you. It will try to present something to you that's reasonable. Now, the problem is that this HTML is an Angular template, which means it has to get processed into JavaScript code. And so when I leave off a close tag, the parser for that template doesn't actually parse the template correctly. And so basically you can end up breaking what scope is available to certain sections of HTML. So it's really important to make sure that you have your close tags done properly in your HTML templates, because otherwise it'll muck up the AngularJS bindings. But we are a little bit closer now. So let's see, current event. We've got a div tag here, and we've got our ng repeat, but it says there's nothing there. So let's do our handy trick again. And let's see. Data is empty again. Oh, wait, C. C.data is empty as well. We have the email. If I go up a little higher and try that again, C.data is empty again. It should not be. But it is. Okay, so this time data is empty at the parent level for some reason. Let me check my profile real quick. Just to make sure everything is still... Okay, so the condition on this particular maintenance script is supposed to be it'll show if active is false or if current event is false. So this maintenance script should be showing. Let's see. So the question is, why are we no longer getting... There should be a maintenance script. And if I log... Whoops, wrong one. If I log the scope, data is empty. C is nowhere to be seen. This is strange. So, ng repeat, script in. So I haven't done anything to reassign it. So, okay, so let's step back a second. This, let's refresh. That way I can kind of clear things out. So when I hit search, I get this object logged out. And it does have a data.maintenanceScripts array. Now where that is coming in is in our client controller, which has no syntax highlighting at the moment, which is very weird. Let's see if we can fix that. There we go. So this console.log on line 18, we're doing a c.server.get. This is what's performing the search. And then we're logging out the response to that. And that response does have sorry, I think I just saw something. Okay, so this response does have our maintenance scripts object on it. However, for some reason, I could have swore we copied this over last time. But equal to response.data.maintenanceScripts. So basically, when we hit the search button, when we hit our search button, it calls c.search. C.search is going to hit our server script using c.server.get. So that's going to call our server script with the input, with an input variable. Right down here. And that's going to give us our maintenance scripts. So when it comes back, we have that response.data.maintenanceScripts, but for some reason I wasn't assigning it to anything. So I'm going to assign it to c.maintenscripts, and then I'm going to come back here and update this to c.maintenscripts. I forgot that last time I used, that when we built this out, I used c.server.get, which requires, it gives you a response object, and then you have to assign that response object back to your scope. C.server.update will automatically make c.data equal to the result of your server script. It keeps resetting the syntax highlighting. I don't like that. Hey there, Diego. And welcome, Laszlo. There we go. Okay. So that time when we searched, now we've got the server data coming back in the response in the client script, and then we bind that to our c.maint scripts, and now we actually have what we're looking for. I thought I had considered sticking that on the profile itself, but I guess I didn't do that last time. That's fine. All right, so now we've got this little thing going on here. We've got a list of scripts being displayed. Now we need to be able to click on that script to be able to execute it. So, in order to do that, on the same one with the repeat, I'm going to do ng-click, and we'll do c.execute maintenance script. I think it's ID. So this is one of those places where I love the angular.element scope call, because Inside of an ng repeat, the scope changes. This is one of those directives in AngularJS that changes what your scope object contains. And so what I can do is, you see this on that particular scope, there's a script, and I can see description name sysid. So what I was looking for was sysid, not ID. And so basically that script object is the one that we're assigning at the front of the ng repeat. And that's something that you can't as easily do when you're logging out the entire scope object for the widget. Then you have to start diving in and trying to figure out where your scope is pointing to. Angular element does a much better job of telling you exactly what's on that particular element. So now that should call a function c.execute main script, which is going to be tied to the script ID. So now I need to jump over to the client controller and implement that function because it doesn't exist yet. So just like our c.search, I'm going to do c.execute main script. And we are passing the script ID here. All right. Very similar to search. So I'm actually going to expand that one again. Very similar to search. We're going to be calling a c.server.get. And just like search, for UI sake, for the user experience sake, we have to implement some traps to prevent people from clicking the same button over and over again. This was something that we did not do, I did not do, in the initial intake app, and it actually made it possible for people to hit the photo submit button multiple times in a row. And that was fun to deal with. Basically, it would automatically kick off three separate AI generation processes for the same person at the same time. It was very fun. Let's see. So much like our C dot is searching, and I like to keep my my gates separate. That way, if they want, technically they could search at the same time that they could execute a script. So I don't want to block the ability to search while I'm blocking the ability to execute scripts. But I do want these scripts to fire one at a time. I don't want them clicking the same script multiple times. I don't want them clicking multiple scripts in rapid succession. Let's fix one thing and then fix another. So if C dot is executing script, actually, wait a second. Let's try something. Okay. What do we want to do here? Oops, that's not what I wanted. What was that shortcut? I can't remember it now. Oh, wait, I think it was Windows H? No. There's a voice to text dictation in Windows, and I can't remember what the shortcut for it is. But I've when I had another instance enabled with Now Assist, I was using it extensively to just speak into the code generation, and I found it a lot nicer than having to type things in. Voice to text shortcut. What was it? Yeah, it should be Windows H. For some reason, it's not coming up, and that's sad. Oh well, we'll have to troubleshoot that later. All right, so what I'm trying to do here is call the server script to what do we try to have an ID parameter for the script to execute. That ID should be sent to the server. I have no idea what this is going to give me. Yes, typing, the poor man's dictation. Let's see what it gave me. C dot is executing script is true. C dot server dot get action execute maintenance script. Script ID is the script ID from the function. We're going to accept this because most of this is looking pretty good so far. Oh, I love AI. We did, however, break something in the process. I think the problem may have been that it added that. I think it added an extra curly brace. And that's where still knowing how to code is important, because you have to be able to troubleshoot the outputs that the AI generation gives you. All right, so c.server.get is going to send this input object to our server script, which will contain the action we want to execute and the script ID. When it comes back, I don't like that section. Well, I don't know. It's probably a good idea. We're not going to, though. I don't know. See, this is one of the things that bugs me about the AI code generation, is that it's actually better than I am a lot of the time, especially when it comes to error handling and defensive programming. And so it puts this stuff in here, which I probably normally would just ignore and not do. But because it has called me out and said, hey, you should probably do this, now it's got me second guessing myself. Okay, we'll leave it in. We'll leave it in. The only thing I'm going to change here is I want to move the executing script to the end. I don't want to, which technically I don't think it matters because of the way the AngularJS digest loop works. Nothing will happen in between anyway, but just because it makes me feel better, I am going to put the gate at the end of the script. Action is this. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that information yet. So we'll figure that out after we execute it. So now I need to come back to my server script, because the c.server.get is going to send the data. It's going to send this payload right here to our server script as the input variable. So if input and input.action is equal to that, see, this is where I prefer my side-by-side. Script ID is the other property we're sending in. All right. Now, we're going to need to get that profile GR. We can get rid of my console.log yay from last time. I don't think we need that anymore. Very professional debugging here. Let's see. So I want that profile GR. That is going to be our C3 profile record, which is basically, it functions as our allow list, as the location where we store the cards. Like the profile is the central, it's the core table of like the whole thing. So we want to get that profile by the email address. Yes, very realistic debugging. But I'm not passing the input.email on this one. I guess we should then, huh? So let's come back down here. Yeah, I spelt it wrong. Let's see if it figures it out. Yeah, it actually did. How about that? It also did something else. What did it do? Oh, it duplicated. This is one of the things that I've noticed with the Now Assist LLM, is that right now it will add the terminating punctuation regardless of whether it's actually needed or not. Oops. Shift Alt F. Okay. All right, so we're going to pass the email in. That will allow us to get our profile record up here by the email. Then what we will want to do is data dot, we'll just do result for now, equal to maint scripts, which from last time, our maint scripts is calling our script include, our maintenance script include. And I don't have this function yet, so we're going to have to write this one as well. Execute script and input dot ID, I think it was. I should have checked to see if it could read my client script. I don't think it can. I don't think it can read what's in my client script to determine what needs to be there, but when you use AI for coding, do you feel like you're literally forgetting or losing muscle memory by letting it type it out for you? Not yet. I wouldn't say that I have been leaning on it so heavily that I've lost my muscle memory. However, do I think that in the long run I would lose some of my muscle memory? Yes. And I'll kind of speak to that a little bit. So a few months ago, I wasn't using AI for anything at all. And I mean nothing. Nothing at all. Earl was the one that actually kind of really started getting me more and more into it. And it was slow at first. There were things that just, I had a hard time going to Claude or ChatGPT, I had issues with going to that first. I would still reach for Google first. I would still reach for my other tools first. Few months later, I've developed a lot more muscle memory around going to Claude, going to ChatGPT, and checking those tools first rather than going to Google first. In fact, I've started doing it for like household type stuff as well. Like I'm getting ready to move here soon, and the first thing I did was I went to ChatGPT and was like, okay, I'm getting ready to move. What are some things I need to be thinking about? I didn't even go to Google. As I have built the muscle memory around the AI, it has definitely changed my muscle memory around other things. And does my when I go to Google, I tend to type things into it a little bit differently. Like there's a pause where I have to be like, okay, I'm not talking to a chatbot. I'm talking to a search engine. What do I need to type in to get what I want? So in the long run, do I think that it will change my muscle memory? Yes. However, I don't think that that's a bad thing necessarily because it's just you're developing muscle memory with the tools that you have. I think the important thing is that I have not lost the knowledge of the APIs that I'm working with. I have not lost the knowledge of how to do this stuff. My efficiency with certain things, with a certain way of doing it, might decline, but my ability to reason through it has not. My ability to remember and ultimately figure out how to do it, those troubleshooting skills, those problem-solving skills, and the core knowledge of using the previous tools are still there. There are skills that I had to do early on with ServiceNow that we now have or Flow Designer and ServiceNow Studio. All of these are new tools. As I use them, I get less proficient with some of the older ones, but it doesn't change the fact that I can still use it and still use the skills that I have. Every time I go back to coding manually, I remember everything. That is a really good point that Earl makes about feeling like he learns more from the methods that AI uses that he didn't know about. And like that is one distinction I want to make is that while I do feel like I lose my muscle memory in terms of being able to like keyboard whip out the code, my knowledge of the APIs hasn't changed. If anything, my knowledge of the APIs has gotten better because a lot of times the AI will suggest APIs I'm not familiar with. It will make corrections to how I'm using APIs where I'll learn something new from it. And I do tend to remember those things it's teaching me. Now, that said, is it possible to not? Is it possible to use AI as a crutch and, you know, not gain as much from it? Sure. Like I can go into my garage and start a woodworking project and use a tool and, you know, learn next to nothing about the process of woodworking from it. Yes, that is a thing that I could do, but I like troubleshooting. I like figuring things out. I like understanding how things work, and AI doesn't change that. It's just a new tool in my toolkit that, if anything, allows me to learn things faster and get to the point of understanding quicker. Yeah, I agree, Ben. I definitely agree with that. I think it's a tool. It's a tool, and how you choose to use it is important. You know, it really comes down to how you use it. Yeah, it really just comes down to how you use it. It's up to you to choose it to choose good ways of using it that develop your skills rather than just using it as a crutch. And I think that's a key differentiator is that you have to go into using it with the right mindset. If If you walk out into a woodworking shop, if you go out into a wood shop and you just start turning tools on, you're in danger. You have to know how to use the tool. You have to use it properly. When you do these things, it can help you build things faster and get you to your result much quicker than if you're out there with a handsaw and a screwdriver. But it's ultimately up to you to use it properly so you don't end up in the hospital. And I think that applies to AI tools as well. And realistically, I think it applies to any tool. I don't think there's a single tool that we can point to where we can say, yes, this tool is universally good in all cases. Like, we have to make responsible choices with how we use these things. All right, so data.result equals main scripts, execute script, input script ID. Yes, that's what I want, I think. So we're going to save this. Now I've got to open up my script include. Let's see, what do I got? 15 minutes. I think we can do this, guys. All right, so I got to go to my maintenance script include. Need an execute script function that queries the dang it. Flow Designer, I think, has the ability for when you're doing the when you're typing out, you can, I think it's the hashtag, where you can search for a table by name within your prompt. Really cool. Really cool. I want that here. That's another one of those takeaways as a dev advocate that I'll have to talk to the product team on and see if there's not already a feature that I'm overlooking, or if not, see if we can't encourage it. Maintenance scripts table. Queries the maintenance script table. Using the ID passed into the function. This function should execute the script in the fix script field. And so I know it's going to use, or it should use, GlideScopedEvaluator, that particular API, which I think we used above. All right, so let's check and see what we got out of this thing. Let's move this up here. Execute script, maintenance script, glide record, get by script ID, maintenance script is valid record. Again, the AI does a better job at defensive programming than I do, and it's very annoying. I mean, I like it because this is good. This is a good practice to have. You should check if there's a valid record before proceeding. It's very smart. Do I do it in any of my scripts almost ever? Not until I find a problem. Let's see. Ooh. That's a good one. Maybe suggest adding a feedback button on the prompt dialog to capture these ideas. Okay, that would be cool. I do like that. I would love to use the prompt to like submit feedback. I know that there's like a thumbs up, thumbs down here. I'm going to thumbs up this one, so you can kind of say whether the result was good or bad, and you can give feedback in that way. But I do like this concept of being able to like submit more robust feedback and say, hey, I'd like to see this. I have to talk to them about that one. Have to see if that's a good idea or not. Sounds fun, but I'm not the one that would have to respond to the feedback, so. Let evaluator equal to GlideScopedEvaluator. Nope, that ain't it. I don't want that. So the put variable is actually going to inject a variable into our script. And right now it's injecting the script itself, which I don't see a point in that. However, that does remind me, though, everything else looks good. Everything else looks good. We're going to accept that. A couple things I'm going to change. I will return the value of that script, I think. Let's not and say we did. We'll go back to that idea. I do... what does that thumbs up, thumbs down go? Is that available in the instance as well? You know, I don't know where it goes. I'm going to have to ask that one. I would assume that it's being fed into some internal tool that we use to eventually to pull those metrics, but I don't know if it gets logged in instance as well or not. I'll have to check and get back to you on that one. Man, I got a whole lot of takeaways from this one. I'm going to have AI process the transcript to remind me what I have to do. And yes, that's actually a thing that I do. Because AI is integrated into almost everything I do now. All right, so I know I'm going to want to submit the profile GR. And script ID... And I'm going to just pass an options object. This is one of those new ES syntaxes where you can just like, gosh, what is it? It's not deconstructing, it's destructuring maybe? Either way, love it. Basically, it lets you pass an object and then specify variable names from that object. Very cool. Profile GR. I think that's all I want to submit for now. But I do need to come back and change my syntax highlighting. There's another takeaway, is I'll have to talk to the studio team and ask why it keeps getting rid of my syntax highlighting, and if there's something I'm doing wrong or if there's a update I need to install. Let's see. So I want to submit that and profile GR. All right, so this is going to pass the script ID and the profile GR into the execute script function. That script is then going to work its magic. Eventually, I'm going to have to add some better error handling around this. For now, just to give us a UI thing, I'm going to pass in, I think it's sputil, but I got rid of my syntax highlighting again. Stop. Making me sad. All right. I do want something in the UI to say, hey, something happened. I don't want to be sitting here twiddling my thumbs wondering if a thing got done. To that end, post a UI message saying that the script has been executed. I think it's sputil. No. Thumbs down, because I'm in a client controller. Used server API on the client script. Submit feedback. Okay. But where's my pop out? That's not what I wanted. It got rid of my... All right, we're going to have to reload. Basically, it's preventing me from editing because it still thinks that the Now Assist modal is open. Kind of goes back into a bit of a save early, save often. To I'll try one more time. Yeah, that's not it either. I think it. I want to. I swear it's SPUtil. Yep, SPUtil add info message. All right, so SPUtil dot add info message. Script has been executed, and we need to, because SPUtil needs to be injected. I will add it up here. Update. Okay, and then we hit moment of truth time. Realistically, I'm not expecting this to work. Like, how often do things work the first time? Okay. Click. Nothing. So now we go to our console. Click. It is going to the server. Action, email, script ID. Guys. It's being smart and it's looking for a response.data.error, and I put it in the wrong place anyway. None of that's... I'm going to have to strip this section out and just do an SPUtil. Update. All right. Let's try that again. Again, not expecting this to work. We did get the script has been executed this time. However, I don't think it's working because it should go away. I don't have a maintenance script. That's what it is. I don't have a maintenance script. I don't have a fix script. The script is empty. Profile gr dot active equals true. Profile gr dot current event is true. Profile gr dot update. Okay. Execute it. And if it worked, well, technically, if it worked, I should be able to reload, search again. Nope, there's still a script there. I don't think it worked. Ah, sadness. I don't think we're going to be able to finish this one today. I want to, though. I think I can go a little over today. All right, so that maintenance script. Let's see. Let's check our system log real quick. I don't see anything. Oops, not warnings. I wanted errors. No, nothing there. We'll just throw an error. Okay, let's see if we get anything from this. Click. System log. Should be able to. Oh, wait. The undefined value has no fix script. Line 2. It has no profile GR. Profile GR is being passed in. Need my syntax highlighting. I wonder if the issue is the email address that we're passing in down here. C.email. No, there should be a C.email. Maybe go about it a different way, because we should have a profile. Yeah, we should have a profile object where we should have a sysid, and we do. So let's do that. C.profile, I believe. Yeah, C.profile. C.profile.sysid, which means I need to come up here to our server script. Maybe not. Maybe we stick with email. For some reason, we don't have a profile GR in our maintenance script. Let's see if we, before I go making a bunch of changes, let's see if I have one here. GS dot profile gr dot toString. I'm hoping I can get this done in the next couple minutes. I'd be really sad if I can't. And once again, my syntax highlighting went away. And if I come down here, error. All right, so that should log pretty much everywhere. line 105 of the SP widget. Payload does have the email there. I will say, though, I should probably change that from sending the email from that one. Because I should send it from a different one, but that's fine. We'll update that later. Email.trim. That was weird. All right, so it's saying that that's a problem there in and of itself. Errors. It's got a glide record object. Yeah, that's a good idea, Phil. Tracking the tracking smells in your code, tracking things with little to-do comments. Come down here and do that while I'm here. Let's see. Okay, let's run it again. We're going to get some errors. A glide record with no sysid. That's doesn't make sense. Okay, I'm going to abandon Studio at this point for my. That's getting entirely too annoying when I'm trying to. Having my syntax highlighting disappear every time I save my code is getting a little frustrating. All right, so I'm primarily going to be in my server script. Get profile by email. Oops, right here. All right, guys, I'm going to give this like 5 more minutes, and if I can't lock it down, I'll probably call it a day. So this really isn't making a whole lot of sense to me, because when I do so if I do this and execute and then hit my log, there's an object glide record. But then sysid is undefined. So I have a glide record here, but the sysid is undefined. So Philip says a glide record without a sysid suggests it hasn't been entered via next. So let's double check my function. Nailed it. So what we need to do is do a quick refactor and move next to this function. Great call, Phil. Oh, I put the wrong comment up there. Phil called it with the glide record without a sysid, which means this one and we'll switch that to an isValidRecord check instead, which we'll double check. Boom, boom, boom. And then if I go to my profile, well, actually, let's do it the quick way. And the script goes away. So now if I checked my profile, active is now true. Current event is true. So once again, if I disable that, so this should cause our script to show back up again on search. So I search, our troubleshooting script shows up. I click it. It has been executed. I search again, the script is gone, and current event has been updated. So we now have our maintenance scripts in the UI. We can now execute our maintenance scripts by clicking on them. Obviously, we have a ton of work to do in terms of making this UI anything worth looking at whatsoever. But we have the core mechanics down. Basically, we now have the ability to search. The search will check all of our maintenance scripts for the ones where the condition script is true. So if the script applies, it'll show up in this list, which in this case, this script applies. I can then click the script, which causes it to be executed. Ideally, the scripts would refresh after execute. There's a few other UI UX things I'd like to work out here, but if I reperform that search, the script goes away the way that I would expect. And our profile that has been searched has now been fixed. The current event checkbox has now been marked. So now, next time we can start working on some UI UX improvements, as well as building out some of our other maintenance scripts, and hopefully start building this out into a useful tool that we'll be able to use on the World Forum floors or Knowledge floor or wherever else we happen to bring this tool. is there a concern about exposing users' emails there? No, I don't really have a concern about exposing users' emails here because this is primarily going to be used by our staff at the conference. And so basically, we have to do it by email. Basically, when people come up to us and say, hey, something's wrong with my profile, we'll say, okay, what's your email address? And that's how we look up your profile to determine what we can do to fix it. So this process would have been the same either way. So I'm not overly concerned with that. Oh no, this page is not going to be a public page. This is maintenance for our folks behind the scenes. If you see this page at a conference, it's just because I or somebody else at the booth has turned our computer to you and said, "Can you please type your email in for me?" But yeah, so we're well on our way to having this tool functioning. So I have high hopes we'll be able to get this ready for the next World Forum. And yeah, so basically, we'll continue this next time. Be on the lookout for our other live coding episodes. Christy on Monday with live coding second breakfast. Earl next Wednesday. He and I alternate Wednesdays for live coding 11sies. And also the unofficial live coding happy hour. So be on the lookout for those. And on this Friday, we have a Dev Advocate Ask Me Anything. So be sure to check that out. We've got that posted out on LinkedIn as well as our YouTube channel. So hopefully we'll see you guys again on Friday. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and I hope to see you next time.